Dooley Noted, 7/10/2016. Hi, I'm Dr. Kathy Dooley. Many people have been asking me about what I advise as far as shoe wear. Most people's shoes, I know mine were like this. I ran in Mizuno's, Saucony's, Brooks. These type of shoes, many of them have quite a bit of a lower foot padding and an excessive buildup in the posterior. This is to prevent overpronation of the foot. And that's all well and good unless you need to pronate. And most people need to pronate on a phase of gait called suspension, where you're suspending one leg over the other. That's when the leg is forward and suspending most of your weight. If you look at this shoe here, this is a typical type of basic sneaker. It looks like a lot of running shoes. And when I bend it from the back and the front, you can see that only the forefoot, where my right hand is, only that part's really moving. That makes the foot extremely rigid during gait, and that can be very problematic. You have 28 bones in your foot. They're meant to actually accommodate to the stimulus around them. And if you are blocked up on about, about 2 inches in the posterior and about 1 inch in the anterior, you're not only cushioned from the ground, not able to feel via the mechanoreceptors of the foot, but you're also not able to transmit the force you perceive from the ground into movement through the foot because you're locked in. On top of that, a lot of people wear insoles that actually shove their foot into an arch, and that's good for some people, not good for others. So your foot is very individualized. I do consider maybe not considering your foot as a static thing, but more of a dynamic thing. What I do suggest is people see a therapist, a movement therapist, to be able to analyze their gait, take a look and see which phases in which foot are not reached by the client in the 4 different phases of gait. One of the shoes I start people off on is something like a Nike Free, where you can take the posterior and anterior and bend them both. You can see the back of the shoe is about a 4 to 5 millimeter drop, and it's still rigid, but you can still bend it more than you can the first one. I always do the basic shoe test. I'm not really privy to brands. I just want to be able to bend the back and the front of my shoe. On the width on the sides, most people like it pretty well. I don't love the fact that this guy curls upwards, so most people will shove their toes into 2 inch dorsiflexion, but it's a step up from the previous shoe. If you're looking for something a little closer to the ground, New Balance Minimalist, some other brands too, they create 0 to 4 millimeters of drop, and you can see this one's even more flexible through the posterior and has a little bit of width on the anterior as well. So it gives you a little bit of space to be able to spread the toes and also be able to move through the calcaneus or the heel. My favorite shoe in the market right now for me, because I've progressed through these different types of shoes, is the Merrell Vapor Glove, which you can see is a 0 drop and completely foldable. And so a lot of people ask me, well, what if I have plantar fasciitis, or what if I have issues with my toes? And I would argue that one has plantar fasciitis because they haven't been able to accommodate and move the heel. Now, the plantar fascia is attached to the heel, so if the heel is stuck in one position, it's not a flat shoe that actually causes the issue. It's the fact that they don't have the intrinsic foot control yet to be able to move through the calcaneus and build up the intrinsic muscles of the foot. If you keep your foot locked into a shoe like this, don't be surprised if it never fully rehabilitates. And then when you actually have to be on the ground in a bare foot, the likelihood of you injuring or creating plantar fasciitis will increase. It's not that this shoe causes plantar fasciitis, but it also doesn't allow for your foot to accommodate to space when it doesn't have this level of support. I gotta handle the argument of you weren't born with that level of support. You were actually born with the ability to build 3 arches for yourself through the ligamentous structures of the foot, the 28 osseous structures of the foot, and also the muscles that cross these areas to be able to create these arches and be able to move you through the 4 phases of gait. Just some different shoes to consider and maybe a different perspective. Dr. Kathy Dooley, I'll see you next time.